I think I'm going to start out with the BX Swimmer, number 12. I think this is a pretty close duplicate to what these little rascals are biting on.
Well, I'd say that's a good choice, but I'm going with the classic, the Rapala Original number 18 floater, big fish bait.
Old school.
Yeah.
I'm going with the flat wrap. As you can see by the scars, that's a big fish killer.
You know, right now, Ty and I and Jeremy are going to look at a strategy that's sort of interesting because everybody likes catching big fish. And right now we're targeting big walleyes. It's midsummer, but where we're fishing them is sort of an interesting part of the puzzle, as we will share with you.
Yeah, we're going to target walleyes over probably anywhere from, say, 70 to 120 feet of water. The food is out here, and that's where the big fish live. So this isn't a game where we're hoping to go out and catch 50 fish tonight. We're hoping for just a few bites, but chances are when we get bit, they're going to be very, very large.
Yeah!
Closed captioning is provided by Smooth Moves, adjustable boat seat suspensions for a smoother ride.
You know, one of the biggest things for any type of open water trolling is duplication. So what we're fishing with is with line counter reels. This is the Alexa 300. I have about 30 feet of 10-pound test mono, which goes to 30-pound 832 braid. And I'm gonna set out about 50 feet in back of the boat first off, and then I'm gonna clip on an offshore board. Clip this on, and we're sending this guy out to the side of the boat. Nice thing is with this type of system, we can actually put out a pretty big spread, which is pretty important. This is ready. One thing you always do whenever you're fishing with this type of fishing situation, you want a relatively light drag. The nice thing about this Alexa 300, it's got a really sensitive drag, but whenever you're trolling like this, what we're doing is fishing with a really soft drag. One line in, Jer.
So in Minnesota, we're only allowed one line apiece, but when you're doing this open water trolling deal, it's huge to have multiple lines out. That's of course why we're using the boards. But captaining the ship here, I'm not a Great Lakes professional troller, so I like to be able to be hands-free if we do happen to get a fish hooked up, and I can help control the boat and net the fish. So I've actually chosen to use something a little different than the traditional trolling method. This is an 8.5 foot medium moderate. This is actually a steelhead rod, and the nice thing about this is if I want to get my bait out there, those guys go up 50 feet. Look at me, I'm 150 feet back. This is going to be the longest rod, but I can get it in quick. I don't have to deal with the board, and sometimes that flat line can be really advantageous just to have something that's zigzagging back there that's not in the board, but I can get it in really quick if I need to help. So the reason I'm choosing to use a spinning rod is simply for efficiency. I can get a bait out quick, I can get it in quick, and it's got the soft action. If I've got a huge fish on, I can fight the fish in really easy and I'm not tearing hooks. So it's a nice system. We've got two boards on the one side, one on the other, and we've got a great spread out here, and hopefully, I'd say in about an hour, if we're lucky or sooner, we'll be catching some big walleye.
We're going after big fish, right? Big walleyes. We're trying to match the hatch as much as possible. These Cisco's are pretty good size, so what do you need? You need big baits to target big fish. You're only going 6 feet down over 90 to 100 and 115 feet. These fish are coming up, they've got the feed bags on.
So what happens in these lakes that have Cisco's, tullibees, other people call them lake herring, they're cold water fish, and they spend most of the time in deep water. But what's gonna happen, you can already see it right now on the depth finder. See these little blue dots? These are little microinvertebrates that make these diurnal movements. They're gonna come up towards the surface tonight to feed, and of course the tullibees eat them, so they're gonna follow them up. Now the walleyes are gonna spend most of their time in 40 feet or less. Walleyes will rarely go down in this really cold water, but when these Cisco's come up, the walleyes will start to feed as well. So this window of opportunity generally will happen like an hour before sunset to maybe a couple hours after dark. So the idea is get out here a little early, see where a lot of the food is, and you can see right now the food's in 100 and some feet. But as the night progresses, you're gonna see everything start to ratchet up in the water column, and by sunset, everything's gonna be happening right up here. And that's why we're fishing baits that are running 10 feet or less over 100 plus feet of water.
You know, what's really sort of interesting about this whole thing, and you'd actually ask, well, where are the big walleyes during the daylight hours? Why can't you catch them during midday? And you probably can in some conditions. If you had clouds and overcast, a little bit of wind, dark, you know, sort of cloudy conditions, you might be able to catch them. But the biggest thing is what Jared was talking about, is this food movement. And these walleyes and many of the other largest top-of-the-line predators that swim in this system, which in this particular lake happens to be big pike, muskies, and smallmouth bass, are suspended out over this deep water waiting for the tulabees to move up in the water column. When they get to the right level, that's when they're gonna feed.
This segment is brought to you by Northwest Ontario. There's no place like this.
Speed is a huge factor in catching fish when you're trolling, and I've got a few different ways that I can modify my speed in this boat. So this is a 90 horsepower Mercury right now, and I've got the SmartCraft system where I can adjust the RPMs to be able to go a certain speed. But we've got a tailwind behind us right now, and so even at the lowest RPM setting, I still am going faster than I want to go. But I've also got another tool. I've got the Minn Kota Vantage here in the back, and so what I do is I deploy the Vantage and I'll adjust the speed in reverse to be able to, I can just really fine tune how fast this boat is traveling. So if we've got a really strong tailwind, I can just dial up the speed on the Vantage and I can slow us way down, or I can just essentially stop it. So it's a really useful tool, not only for crankbait fishing in open water with boards like we're doing right now, but it's also a really big tool for spinner fishing. I've caught a lot of walleyes with that precise speed adjustment, having two tillers back here to adjust it to just tenths of a mile an hour. The witching hour is here. It's prime time to catch fish. You can see there's like 8 or 10 loons in the background. They're feeding. We're starting to see ciscos popping all over on the surface. Bait is starting, or the little bugs are starting to come up the bottom. This is when you absolutely want to be on your game.
There's one, fish on, fish on. Whoa. Hang on. Back her down, Jared, back her down a little bit. Big one. Wow. You know what it is? It's a great big pike. It looked like a great big pike. I was wondering because it's just smoking.
Do you want me to? It's too big, I gotta kill it?
Yeah, you gotta slow me down. Because it's only going in one direction. It's away from the boat.
It's too big. We gotta reel everything in. Break the spread. That's a good thing when you're trolling and you actually have to break the spread because the fish is too big.
The one thing whenever you're fishing like this with boards, and these are really pretty specialized rods, because what you're doing, we're fishing with braided line. This is 832 braid. We have that monofilament, 30 feet of monofilament. But the thing is what you have to do is be really pretty delicate. You don't do a lot of pumping when you're fighting the fish, and what you're doing is generally just reeling it in, and you have actually a softer parabolic action with these rods, and you just try to keep them tight. So as we get closer, Jeremy's gonna sort of uncork our board.
Yep.
Wow.
All right, everybody's out. Now you can just have fun with your fish.
Now,
Group effort.
wow,
Yeah.
Look at that, wow. Oh, it's a muskie, that's
Cool.
what it is.
Right.
I was wondering what the fish is. It's a really nice muskie.
Sweet, the muskie man. Take that over just about any fish that swims.
Jeremy, I'm gonna give you a net.
Okay.
The interesting thing is when you
a
get out
nice
and do this,
fish.
there's a lot of different big fish actually feed on these open water bait fish.
Heck yeah.
And
cool.
the thing is almost all of them are the biggest of each different species, whether it be pike, walleyes, muskies.
Should I net him or should I grab him?
No, Jared.
I'll just grab him by the tail.
Okay.
So I think if we put him in the net, he's gonna flop out,
Boy,
break
you got
the
him
bait.
perfectly hooked. I mean,
Yeah, you
really
did. You
lucky
couldn't have
that
done
he
any
didn't.
better.
Usually, you get in a big muskie and they actually just literally eat the bait. There you go.
We got lots of hooks.
You want me to get him?
Knew he had to do one of
This is sort of
those.
an interesting affair we got going here. The thing is, he's afraid he's going to put him in the net, and it's actually too small of a net.
Yeah, I would totally net this fish if we had a bigger net. but-
Yes.
He's hooked so good if I can just get a...
Okay, this time I think we got him this
That's
time.
a beautiful
Okay, he's coming
fish.
around. Here he goes.
Yep, you need to chill out. Oh, sweet, he's almost out. Almost unhooked.
There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, easy, Bear. Easy, watch your hands.
There's your fish. We got that
No,
clippers.
what?
Just clip,
Yeah, you would get-
just clip
here.
the hooks, Ty, if you
Yeah,
can.
watch yourself. Yeah, get that out of there.
gonna
That's
throw
very,
the-
very dangerous. Look,
Cool.
look at that. It's a beautiful fish. I mean, it's a gorgeous fish. You can see how wide it is. These guys come out here, and there's a lot of food out here. Beautiful
Cool.
fish. We better get her back in the water.
Absolutely.
It's really, I was wondering when it started leaping out of the water. It said
Yeah.
it's a big pike. It's a,
Good team event.
The Edge is presented by these and other fine sponsors.
Oh, there. Oh, yeah, he's on.
all right, somebody want to take this rod, or do you want me to
Gladly.
take it? What? I hate to be hogging all the rods.
get
Jero, take it away. Okay. Okay.
That was cool though. We saw all the, actually this might be a walleye. We saw all the fish. I mean, there's so much bait happening there. We just kind of musky here. And you gotta pay attention to the environmental conditions. We're seeing bait on the depth finder everywhere, but visually we could see there's a lot of stuff coming up high here. And that's when it happened. I'll let you sneak back here, Ty. It's nice with this system. We're fishing, you know, these are St. Croix trolling rods, icons, specifically designed for this type of fishing. You notice the flex in this rod. It can take a lot of shots. There's a fish on there.
Yep.
How do you like
There
that?
it is. Wow. Wow.
I got a walleye here.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, we're all right. I'm up. Wow, this is interesting.
You got another big
How do you
fish?
like this affair?
Poor Ty.
What? I like this.
I got it. It's a nice walleye. It's not a, oh yeah, it's actually a lot bigger than I thought it was.
Wow.
Like I was saying, these long rods, they just absorb the shock. You got these treble hooks, and it's a huge deal for fighting fish like this. Oh, he popped off, and now he's snagged.
Wow.
Holy cow. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Hopefully he stays hooked.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a second net.
Yep.
Here's yours.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Keep grabbing that.
that was sort of fun. You know, it was sort of weird because I was just kicking the boat in and out of gear, and we left the other line out,
That's why you leave the other line out, right?
and all of a sudden it jumped, and I said, "Wow, there's another walleye here."
I'm gonna just set this one in the live well so we can get a picture of both of them together.
There you go. Come here. Boy, look at it. Look at it. There you go. Thank you, sir.
Fat.
Well,
Jeez,
man, I
that's
know
a
they're
take. That was a huge one. Holy man.
Really. Okay,
This
we're
is
gonna-
really happening here.
Yep. Oh,
One
there,
nice
he's
thing
out.
is-
he's out.
I filled the live well before we started doing this with water, just because it's a big mess when you get fish in the box, and sometimes they're stressed out and you got other lines. So having a real safe place where it's wet to keep the fish is a big deal. I'll get out of your way here,
Yeah,
buddy.
look at the size of this one. But the thing is, you'll notice these fish. Look how beautiful they are. These things are really tanks. Look at the back on that thing. But they're all the big, you know, mature adult fish. And the interesting thing is that the biggest of all the different species come out and feed on this open water bait fish like this. Gorgeous. We'll get her back in the water. You gonna take a couple of stills?
Sure.
You want me to let this one go or into the live well?
You can just let it go, Jim.
Okay, we'll let this guy go. Come here, buddy. Yesterday, Ty had like a real whopper. He had one that would make this guy here look like a runt. Come here, buddy.
That's why I'm the net guy today.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he's playing second fiddle.
This is actually sort of an interesting scene because it's just like a catastrophic mess here.
Let me show you the other one here, too.
too.
And I'm not kidding when I say this, but this is just an awesome fish. Look at that, how beautiful that fish is. But this is not a big fish for open water, believe it or not. If you were out rigging or jigging and you caught this thing, you'd be like, yeah. When you're open water hunting hogs,
Yeah.
this is just another nice one. Cool, I'm gonna get this one back too.
Okay. You know, these offshore planer boards actually come in a couple of different sizes. This is the classic size that's used for walleye fishing, and it's a real simple release system. And what you do is simply just take the alligator clip, more or less pin it in there, and then it's got two soft pads in there, and you take it and clip it on the back like that, like so. And you can see how it just planes off to the side of the boat. And we let her out about 65, 70 feet away from the boat. One thing that's sort of nice with a lot of these line counter reels is what they have on there, which is really critical, is not only the ability to duplicate with the line counter, but is the clicker mechanism that, you know, like we're gonna be fishing out here at night, or if you have multiple lines, it helps you identify which rod the fish is on.
We are in the fish again. Electronics are a huge part of fishing success, of course, but the deal is with this deep water fishing, it's really important to pay attention to where you see food. And one thing I'll say about fishing deep water, you'll actually want to do some tuning to your electronics as opposed to just fishing them standard out of the box. Now, I'm not saying that if you just plugged one of these things in, you turned it on, you wouldn't see fish. But what I've done is I've altered the sensitivity a little bit so I can see some of these smaller bait fish, especially in that deep water, and get a good strong return. I want to know where the food is. So I'm cranking my sensitivity up a little bit during the day. Now, as we get closer to the evening hours, I'm actually having to adjust the sensitivity. And one thing that I've noticed, these units have mega imaging, and it's an incredible high frequency picture that you get. But when the water starts to load up big time with these little tiny bugs and all the fish come to the surface, it can be hard to read. So what I'll do in that situation is I'll change it from the high frequency mega that's creating a lot of noise in the screen to a lower frequency like the 455 that was standard for a lot of the side imaging stuff, and I'm able to see through some of that stuff a little better. So I would definitely recommend when you get in this situation, just play with your electronics. These things can do just about anything you can imagine, but fine-tuning them, see where the fish are, bingo, you catch more. Oh, that one.
Oh, there you go. Oh, there you go. Okay, I like this. My new favorite activity. I don't even mind even working the net here.
The Edge is presented by these and other fine sponsors.
Oh, that one.
Oh, there you go. Oh, there you go. Okay, I like this. My new favorite activity. I don't even mind even working the net here.
We saw a lot of fish in this spot. I mean, they were just loaded in here.
Look, this is where we got all of our fish. So again, back to rods and reels, it's so important with what we're doing. I mean, we're using a suffix braid. You know, we do have a mono leader on that, but it's nice to have a real soft tip. We're using a moderate tip rod at the same price. And also, when you got these rods set, make sure you got your drag set loose, because when they hit it, they're going the other way. And you really, with these sharp hooks, you don't want to pull those hooks out of their mouths.
Okay, Ty,
Get closer here.
Right here, he's gonna pull the board.
You want to just keep the engine moving?
Yes, sir. I'm on it. This is sort of a tag team
It is
affair.
nice to have multiple people on this. Feels nice, Ty.
There, ooh, big boil right there. Okay.
Not coming in real easy, so it's definitely got some weight.
You gonna net this one, Jimmy?
Yes, sir.
Jimmy's got the net. Jimmy's the
My
net.
favorite activity. If I'm not reeling them in, I might as well be netting them.
Right.
That's a nice fish.
Oh, huge
That's a
walleye.
nice
Huge
fish.
walleye,
Big
guys.
sucker.
Oh, nice fish. Here he comes, Jimmy.
Wow, whoa. Easy.
Yeah, Jimmy, get it, buddy.
Yeah! Oh, is that thing a giant?
That's awesome.
That's why you gotta do this stuff.
Yes!
Yes.
That's a beautiful
Sweet.
fish.
Let's get some release tools here. Let's just treat it like a muskie. Keep it in the water and we'll just get her released there.
That's a wide body there.
Yeah.
We've actually caught quite a few tonight. It's actually sort of fun. A little timing is everything to catch big fish.
Those are precious fish. They're as valuable as a muskie. It's worth just, to get them caught up like that, cut hooks. That's a really old, ancient fish. Really, really ancient. But you know, the interesting thing to me about this fishery out here is, you know, you're so tuned to fishing classic structure for walleye, but there's areas within the basin that you think are really featureless that actually hold a lot of the life. And a lot of times they can be simple bottom transitions in deep water that maybe turn from more gravel into mud bottom, and that's where a lot of the plants live, and that's where or plankton, excuse me, and that's where we've been catching all of these fish, man, in some of those deep transition areas.
Oh, look at that girl.
Beautiful fish.
Whoa.
No question about it. Timing is really critical for catching any really large species of fish, and this just happens to be one pattern to catch some whopper walleyes.
What a beautiful fish, huh? Splinter board walleye. Big baits.
I like that. Original, 13. Better get that dog back in the water.
Hey, in my hometown paper, every Friday, there's a page that comes out, it's titled Opinion, and everybody shares their opinion. Everybody's got an opinion, correct? Well, one of the sections in here is reader opinion, and I really enjoyed going to sections like this. It just gives you a feel of how the neighbors think. Let me read short and sweet. Where's the outcry? My wife, a neighbor lady, and I went to the Pequot High School to see the play Legally Blonde. We have been there many times before, having enjoyed the productions. This one was different. What struck me was the loose way they used the name of God. It seems very wrong to me that God is kept out of our schools when there could be good come from his presence, but there is no outcry when his name is used like it was in this play. I had enough of it by the intermission. I would think that it would be up to the school board to review what is allowed into the school. Have we rejected God so much that the only way we speak his name in our schools is in jest or worse? Gary. Phenomenal. I could have wrote that thing. I read that thing and said, I could have said that. I could have read that thing. And I'm so proud of the guy that he and his wife and his friend, they got up and they walked out. That's what more of us have to do when you see this kind of garbage in front and you get mad. I can feel my blood pressure going up right now, so I got to watch what I'm going to say because I could get in trouble. So I got to calm down a little bit. But I'm so proud he had the courage to get up and walk out. I had enough of this trash. And you know what else you do? Tell the powers to be why you're walking out. That's the only way we're going to end this insanity, or at least calm it down. I got to calm down a little bit. Hey, from all of us here at The Edge, you have a good, safe fishing season. We'll see you on the water.